I think we can start. Thank you all for joining to this September Continual AI Meetup, which is going to be a bit different from the previous ones, in which we focused on a specific research topic in continual learning, and then we had a few speakers talking about their ideas about it. But in this type of meetup today, we are gonna start addressing some collaborative projects we are working on at Continual AI, and so that you can learn more about those. You can participate, and you can say express maybe your ideas on the path forward. So my presentation is going to last just a few minutes, and there we're going to focus on just one project, which is the ContinualAI Wiki. And we will have Andrea Cossu, the principal maintainer of the wiki, explaining to us essentially the advancements that we have been making in the last few months on it, and how you can, if you want, use it and contribute to it. As I was saying, this 5-minute presentation, by me is going to be more about a general overview on the projects we are working on and the modality in which we are addressing them essentially. All right, so first of all, as you know, Continual AI has been present and alive for more than 3 years in the making, and so we started before trying to create, interesting collaborative projects that everyone could enjoy. But then it was very difficult. We soon realized that it was very difficult to just make them work without a proper coordination and a few maintainers that would push them forward. So the idea was to create a research team, a collaborative team within Continual AI to give more structure to these collaborative projects. And the idea of Continual AI Research, or CLAIRE, is to support the production, organization, and dissemination of original research in continual learning and related topics. And the goal is pursued through technical research, open source projects, and tools that can make the life of a continual learning researcher easier, essentially. And so the Continual AI Research team is in charge of maintaining these collaborative projects, so that we can have a constant, improvement on those, and we can coordinate better. So if you're interested in this idea of CLAIRE, you can just check out the website claire.continualai.org, or just visit the research page within the official Continual AI website. Okay, so at the moment we have 4 different projects which are, let's say, actively more or less developed. And the first one is the wiki. And essentially, for this project, the idea was to create a shared knowledge base for continual learning. And essentially, this was one of the first Continual AI projects. I mean, the main motivation behind the whole Continual AI community was to create something that was a wiki that would contain all the information about this topic and related topics, to make easier to researchers in this area to learn more and collaborate more together. And Andrea, we will talk more about this. Then we have our Medium publication, which is just a collection of media articles, blog posts on Medium. So of course, if you have something to say within this community and you want to get your blog post about continual learning, just send us a PM, and we will try to publish it within the Medium publication. And the idea for this project, of course, was to exchange information within a single, let's say, source that we can follow and so be notified when a new idea, a quick idea that is interesting to share is published there. Then we have this third project, which is called Collab, and essentially is a GitHub repository with a series of notebooks that can be directly run on Collab, Google Collaboratory environment. And the idea in this case is to have these notebooks for showcasing, for tutorials, essentially for getting your hands dirty a little and play with the code itself, understand the dirty little secrets of continual learning. And then the last project we recently added is the forum, the ContinualAI forum. Essentially, since we don't have a paid plan for Slack, what it means is that everything we say within Slack is going to disappear sooner or later. And so the idea of the forum was to save these discussions and continue them on a discourse platform. And this is also useful because we can organize them better somehow using this very well-known platform for discussions. Okay, so just to conclude, of course, we're always looking for new player members that can help us with these projects, and why not propose new projects as well. We're totally open to your ideas, and if you're interested and you don't know how you can help, you can just send an email to me or Andrea or a PM on Slack, and we will be glad to answer your questions and address your ideas. So thank you so much, and I will let Andrea continue. Okay.
Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, let me stop. Okay, now I stop.
Yeah, no problem. We can overlap.
Okay.
Okay, so let me move this. Okay, so you should see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So welcome everybody, and thank you, Vincenzo, for the introduction. So today, as Vincenzo already told you, we are going to introduce the ContinualAI Wiki 1.0 version. And this has been a huge effort in the last months. So, of course, we really hope you can enjoy it and find it useful in your work, in your projects. In this brief talk, I will introduce the rationale behind the wiki, the main motivations. And of course, we are going to see the contents of the wiki, so what the wiki is about. And finally, we will understand how to contribute to the wiki. So this is a very important part of the presentation. First, let me just very briefly introduce myself. I am Andrea Cossu. I am a PhD student in data science in Pisa and a member of ContinualAI Research. And of course, the ContinualAI maintainer of the wiki. So if you have something to suggest or to complain about, write me. This is my email at ContinualAI. And also you can find me on the ContinualAI Slack. So just really write me for anything you can think of. So straight to the wiki. Let's try to understand why the wiki is there in the first place. And actually, when I first joined ContinualAI Research, the wiki was already there because Vincenzo already created the wiki. And it was well, I should say 0.0 version. And the wiki has a very great idea behind it because it has to, as Vincenzo already told us, it is a shared container for continual learning knowledge. And this is a very interesting idea to me. So when Vincenzo asked me to be in charge of the wiki, so to say, can you still hear me? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
When Vincenzo asked me to be in charge of the wiki, I was very happy and I didn't think twice. And right in front of the homepage, I found the motivation, basically the reason why the wiki was created. And I find it, even today, a very interesting and motivated reason. And in practice, if you read this is what is also contained in the wiki. And it says that the aim of ContinualAI Wiki is to create an open source and collaborative environment. So open source is key in this definition because we believe that knowledge, and especially the knowledge created within ContinualAI, should be free, of course, freely accessible and available to anyone. And this is also a collaborative effort. So we need people to keep the wiki alive, to feed it with content, news, updated list of papers, and so on and so forth. And we will see how to do this. But these two keywords really encapsulate what the wiki is about. What about the objective, however? Well, the objective is to be of help for continual learning researchers. So if you are a continual learning newcomers, so if you just started working on your master thesis or you need continual learning for your application, you should find in the wiki a very good place to start. And of course, this is not all, because if you are already an expert of continual learning, you can use the wiki to be updated with what is happening in the continual learning field. And so we really hope that these two realities can live together and finally, and ultimately, the wiki could be of help to both continual learning newcomers and experts of the field. So straight into the wiki contents. Here is just a summary of what you will find in the wiki. So first, a curated list of papers. This has been the main efforts in the last few months, I would say. And we built a curated list of annotated papers in which you can find papers by category, by tags, we will see. Then also a list of conferences, workshops. So all it concerns the academic continual learning development, so to say. But also we really care about industrial applications of continual learning. And as we will see, industries are starting to apply continual learning in practice. And so we're very interested in monitoring these companies and see how far continual learning can go in real world applications. We have also a list of datasets, libraries, implementation, so code bases for existing methods or framework for continual learning. And finally, media coverage. So if there are news about continual learning articles, we basically list them in this section, because of course, if someone is talking about continual learning, we are listening for sure. So before understanding how to contribute, and this is a spoiler, I will try to show you the wiki directly, because I mean, this is a website, so we can easily see it. You should see the browser now, and the ContinualAI Wiki, this is the homepage, where basically you find the table of contents and all the different parts of the wiki. And here on top, as I promised, there is the main motivation behind the wiki. So here is I would say the statement which guides the development of the wiki, and I hope also in the future we will follow this approach. So if you go to the left, you have the table of contents with a very short introduction. And the introduction starts first with a machine learning oriented introduction about continual learning. So the problem of continual learning with respect to standard deep learning. And finally, of course, the catastrophic forgetting phenomenon, the main, let's say, object of study in continual learning. Then other metrics, because there is not only catastrophic forgetting, and also a biological perspective to join and show how continual learning is a very interdisciplinary field, and we should really focus on having these influences between different fields kept highlighted in our research. And I put also a review of continual learning, which I hope could be of help for newcomers, for example. So this is the introduction, and the research page has been heavily updated in the last months. And as I was telling you before, there is a section especially dedicated to publications. So if you expand this section on the left, you can see different categories of papers, categories of publications. And we collect in here many papers. I would like to say all the papers about continual learning, but not even Archive is able to do that. So we are having trouble in collecting all the papers about continual learning, but this is good because it means that continual learning research is going very well. So currently we have 210 papers in our wiki, in our database, and I will just sketch them very, very quickly just to show you the structure. And for each paper, you can access the BibTeX. So you can just copy the BibTeX and add it to your own reference manager. You have the abstract of the paper, and if available, some notes. So these notes are not available for this paper, and so what you can do is add the notes if you have something to say about the paper. I will show you how next. But if you're lost in these 210 papers, you can also search. So you can search by keywords, so words in the title or in the abstract. And for example, important should show us the first paper, but then other papers, of course, which mention the word importance. And if you want to search for what we named tags, you just enclose the tag in square brackets. And important is not a valid tag, because you see the valid tags are right here. And maybe, for example, we can use, I don't know, Hebbian for Hebbian learning. And some papers are tagged as Hebbian. And so you automatically filter the list. And if you are very brave, you can also use regular expressions, but I'm not brave, so you should try this by yourself. And at the bottom of this section, we have a list of conferences, workshop, research programs. So basically the academic part, of continual learning. And of course, we keep this list updated in time. Then we have the industry section, in which we show the main companies, or the companies that we are aware of, that use continual learning in their applications. And on the bottom, you may see some, quite famous company. And then as you climb up, you see recent startups which are starting using continual learning. So we hope that this list will grow in time, and we are monitoring the situations. Also, software and data. So this is the section which encloses code, basically. So some library. This is a library recently released for scenarios and datasets about continual learning. Then there are other implementations of codes and so on and so forth. You can freely browse those. And also a list of datasets and benchmarks. So if you want to apply your continual learning model on a specific setting, maybe you can find in here something useful. The list of tutorials is a simple list of continual learning tutorials, which have been given in the past, and the Collab notebooks that Vincenzo was introducing to us before. And this is a very useful resource if you want to get hands dirty on code and try to change the continual learning strategies. It's also a very simple notebook, so you can easily modify these contents. And finally, the media articles with posts and news about continual learning. The last section is the About Us. So there are, of course, this is me, the maintainer, but there are other contributors which already started to add contents in the wiki even before the release 1.0. So because of course the wiki has always been public, and you can access it from the ContinualAI homepage or from other links. And so someone already discovered it and started to add papers or contribute in other ways. And so you may want to add your name in here. And so since you want, I have to explain you how to do that. And basically, you can contribute in 3 main ways. And all these ways are clearly, I hope, explained in the README of the GitHub repository. But just to summarize them, the simplest way to contribute to the wiki is to open a GitHub issue. So you open a GitHub issue, you suggest us new papers or something else, and we can work on it and also with you if you want. The second way, and this is specifically related to adding new papers, is to join our Mendeley group. So we have a Mendeley group. You can join us. It's a public group, and you can start adding papers to the group. And we periodically update the wiki list with the content of the Mendeley group. And finally, you can fork our repository if you want to do specific changes, for example, in the contents, in the textual content of the wiki. And of course, submit a pull request, and we will accept that, and you will see your changes in practice. So let me show you the GitHub repository, which you can find. Okay, here we are. This is the GitHub repository of ContinualAI Wiki. And here you can see that each section basically has a RST file. And if you modify the RST file, then there is an automatic procedure with Travis CI, which build the website with the update content. So this is the third way, which is the more complex one, if you want. But you simply fork the repository, enter the folder, install something with pip, and then make your changes to the RST files, which are the textual files of the wiki. Then if you want to see the results, you can also build the website locally and then submit to us the pull request to see your changes. So this is also a valid option to contribute. But the simplest one is to add a new paper to the research section, for example, by opening a GitHub issue. So if you see the GitHub issue, we have some tags like new paper, new conference, and so on. And you can simply attach your bib file if you have one, and we will add it to the Mendeley group in a specific category, which you can tell us if you want, or simply provide us a link that should point to a location where the paper is downloadable. And better if the metadata are also in there, so we can just, with the shortcut of Mendeley in browser, we can just get the metadata automatically. There are already some issues which you can find in here. This is an issue opened by Vincenzo with announcement with MongoDB, but there are also other issues. For example, this says, okay, we must add iClear 2020 papers. And of course, the tag is new conference, but there is also the tag new paper if you want. I provide you with the link of iClear papers. You go there, it's the usual virtual platform. You filter by continual learning or lifelong learning title, and you should see the list of papers. So you can simply put the link to the paper here, or better, since I already provide you a link, you may want to put in here the bibtec file. So the bibtecs are also freely available in the folder bibtec. Here you can download all the files, and you can use these files for your research, but keep in mind that these will be updated as soon as new papers are added to the wiki. And last but not least, you can add new papers also by joining our Mendeley group. And instead of looking at the textual description, I will show you how. So we have this Continual Learning Papers group. And in here, you can easily join us. There is a link. You are added to the group. And if you view the group library, you just wait for a moment, go to Continual Learning Papers. This is our group library. And when you add a paper, you can use the standard Mendeley web importer, for example, in here, and add a new paper. You sign in, you add a new paper, and you choose where to add the paper. This is very simple. You choose Continual Learning Papers. You have to provide some information. Of course, most of them are already given by the Mendeley extension, but you typically provide the type of paper, in this case, a conference proceeding, the title, the authors, the proceeding title, in this case, is an iClear 2020. There is already an iClear 2020. Be aware of that. And the tags. So you can add as many tags as you want, but these tags have to be present in our tags list, which is on GitHub, tags.csv. This is a file which lists all the tags with a very short description. And so you can use whatever tag you want and add it to the paper and as many tags as you want. Just enclose them in square brackets. Then we have also the link to the paper, because we want to reach the paper. And finally, the citation key. So the citation key should be a unique key which identifies the paper. And we follow the convention of having a surname, year of publication, and a progressive letter. So you just check if Ibrahimi has already some 2020 papers, and in this case, he has one. So if you add another paper by Ibrahimi in 2020, you just add Ibrahimi 2020B. This is very simple. And of course, you can search for citation key through the search bar. Just
maybe Andrea, can you clarify the difference between the papers group and the tags? Because I think that may be confusing.
Yeah, of course. I will just add before a small detail, because citation key, if you use the Mendeley desktop app, well, it is not always present by default. So you can add it by tools, options, and checking the citation key. So be sure that for the type of article you are adding, the citation key is checked. Otherwise, you won't see in the sidebar. So coming to Vincenzo's question, there is a difference between category and tags. So in this case, category, and in fact, if you let me do this because I think it's clearer. If you look in the README, I provide you already with some advices when adding papers. If you are in doubt with some details, I told you about the citation key. If you add paper from archive, you can use journal, in this case, as type of paper. We stick to this convention. And we use a system based on categories. So the categories are easily found in the library if you just go here and expand our Mendeley group. So when adding a paper, you choose the category in which the paper should be added. Of course, some papers maybe are, for example, uses our regularization methods, but also they experiment on a specific application. So you may want to add the paper both in application and regularization methods in this case. And we follow the rule of not adding the paper in more than 2 categories, because otherwise there is a mess in replicating papers. But up to 2 categories should be fine. The difference with tags is that tags specify, let's say, not the type of contribution of the paper, but specific details of this contribution. So in this example, here we have the tag bias, because maybe the content of the paper includes some Bayesian technique. Or fashion, in this case, because it uses fashion MNIST dataset, as you can see by going to the tags.csv file, fashion as the description of fashion MNIST. And you can add these as many tags as you want, but please follow the rule of not adding a tag if a similar category already exists. So it does not make sense to add regularization tag, because there is already a category for that. And of course, you can propose new tags by modifying the tags.csv file and then making a pull request to the GitHub repository. So for the papers, this is all. All you can do is get a bibtech file, either from the Mendeley extension in the browser or from one of your bibtech files. You import the bibtech in Mendeley, and then you provide the information. Type of paper, title, authors, of course, venue of the publication, eventually tags if there are any, link, and citation key. And you're good to go. And then, of course, we periodically update this list. We export the bibtech to the GitHub repository, and we deploy the new wiki version. And of course, you will be listed as one of the contributors, which is one of the main points, of the main advantages in adding new papers in the wiki. So this is all about how you can contribute to the wiki. And let me just switch again to the presentation. Okay, I guess I covered all the way you can contribute. So now you learned how to browse the wiki, what's in the wiki, so you can freely use this knowledge as you please, and how to contribute, to add contents, to maintain the wiki updated with new papers, new conferences. And in the end, as I was saying before, I really hope that you will use the wiki. So please get us some feedback. Is it useful? Is not useful? Why is not useful to you? What would you like to be in the wiki? And yeah, this is all. And please be in touch because it's really important. We have done, I guess, lots of work, and it's very important to have your feedback and your contribution if you want. So get in touch, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea, for your great presentation. I think we have a comment
Yeah.
in the chat. Essentially, Raul is saying that papers with codes that I have seen in the past, already has a space dedicated to continual learning papers, which is updated regularly. Um, I'm
Okay,
now,
I'm just reading the comment now.
yeah,
So because there is a space dedicated to continual learning papers.
see.
Oh, yeah. Of course, papers with code. Yeah. Now I get. Can we just pull the papers from papers with code? This might reduce. Well, yeah, this is a great idea, Rahul. Yeah, this is a very interesting idea. So you're welcome. No, I'm joking, but if you want, you can, of course, contact me or Vincenzo if you have any ideas on how you would like to do that. And yeah, I guess that we could scrape the papers with code website. And I don't know if they expose a BibTeX file directly, or if you can, let's say, compose the BibTeX by scraping the related information they have in their website. So yes, I would answer this with yes, great.
Yeah, we should check maybe a bit more in details. I mean, what they provide, how much it is updated.
Yeah, I don't know if
And
there are regulations on how to access this, but I imagine that we can easily, without any kind of problems, scrape their website. I mean, they should let us do this.
I mean, that particular page, and then maybe provide within the wiki if there's a correspondence between particular title to link to from the wiki to that page, because I've seen that every paper here is a specific page. Yeah, it may be interesting to link also the implementation in the end of the paper, or the code of the paper. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If you want to link up the code, for example, in a paper of Continual AI, in the Continual AI Mendeley, you can add multiple links, for example, to the paper.
Right.
One being the paper itself, the other being the implementation. And so we can manage. Well, actually, the only one link is used in the wiki, so you can click on each paper and you are brought to the paper itself. But we can manage if
Yeah.
there is another link, for example, on GitHub or another website to show the code box in which we can click and go to the code. This is
Yeah,
a
exactly.
cool extension. Yeah.
It should be quite easy to add a new button
Yeah.
showing
Quite easy.
the code link. Yeah, that's an interesting extension. Are there any question about the Andrea presentation, or other interesting suggestions to improve the wiki?
Okay, so I've been very clear, I hope.
Yeah, one comment that I'd like to make, yeah, to stress this fact, is that so essentially, I'm not sure what kind of tool people use to keep track of all the papers, not only in continual learning but in general in their day-to-day activity. But I use Mendeley, and it's quite useful. I'm not sure there are other tools that allows you to do many things with your papers, like annotate them and stuff. So the idea of using the Mendeley group was straightforward to me, but I'm not sure there are other alternatives. But of course, having a tight connection between a Mendeley group and the wiki without an automatic procedure to move from the first one to from the DB text to the actual web pages, it's something that should allow everyone to both contribute and use this resource. But it's important to stress that if every one of us adds just one paper or a few papers, then we can all enjoy the advantage of having an updated list on our, let's say, preferred, let's say, tool for keeping track of research. That's super useful in these times in which a new paper is out every moment, and it would be useful to have a shared resource of papers without fearing to be out of the loop or miss some papers, because someone else for sure is gonna see that and maybe is gonna comment that with notes, so that we can avoid spending too much time on every possible paper out there.
Yeah, just to add on top of that, because the notes are quite a useful tool in this specific objective, because when you read the title of a paper, you can be interested, but then if you have also notes in the description, you can easily understand if the contribution is interesting for you or not. So also notes are a very important tool. And if you don't have a reference manager, for example, don't be scared. You can still contribute to the paper list, because if you use LaTeX, for example, you may create your BibTeX by hand. Yeah. And so you just give us the BibTeX and we are good to go anyway. So Mendeley is let's say, a tool that eases the process, but if you don't want to use Mendeley or you use Zotero or other tools, feel free to add a BibTeX. So the BibTeX can contain all the informations we need. So don't worry and just open an issue on GitHub with the new paper tag, and you are fine.
So I have more of a technical question, maybe.
Oh, sure, Mark.
Yeah. I'm not sure how you solved this, but last I was aware in Mendeley, they had like a limit on the amount of papers and space you could add into a group when you're on a free and not premium plan.
Okay, yeah, maybe this is a problem if you also add the PDF. So if you store the PDF within Mendeley itself, because if you just store links, also these are kind of the same policy with Zotero, Mendeley, all these tools use not the same, but a very similar policy. So if you just add the link, the space is quite endless in this sense. Of course, if we keep adding also the PDFs, we may reach the maximum size limit. But in this case, we can simply remove the PDFs because we have the links, so we can manage to do this. Or we can buy some Mendeley license, but I mean, this is something for the future, if we need. Because
you're right. I forgot the PDF part. Like you just don't need to
yeah. So essentially, in Mendeley, there are 3 types of groups. There are public groups, restricted, I think it's named, and then there are private groups. I think in the private ones you can store actual PDFs, but essentially the best idea, the ideal group for us was the restricted one, but in which I don't remember the exact specifics of this, but it was not working, and then so we moved to the the public group type, in which only references can be exchanged, so no PDFs. And there's another downside, the fact that everyone can join the group without asking, essentially, without being approved, and it can change the list actually. So we make sure everything is correct and we avoid crawls or something like that, just by adding, as you were seeing before, the BB tags on GitHub. So that's the snapshot, let's say, of the system up to a certain point, and then after a while we update it, making sure everything is all right. But yeah, in the end, it's a public group, so we don't have, I think, any limitation in terms of space and number of papers.
All right. Like I had a second question. Maybe I just missed it. Like the tags that you have, such as like you said, Bayesian, Hebbian, and etc. These are the ones that are visible on the webpage right now, or is there more of them?
No. All the tags that you see in the wiki page. So let me just go to the correct part. Yeah, all these tags that you see in here are all the tags. So no more, no less. And they are automatically generated from the tags list we maintain on GitHub. So every addition or removal of tags in the tags.csv will cause a change in these tag clouds or tags list, if you want.
Also, if you add a new tag, it's going to be retrospectively added to all the existing ones already?
If you add a new tag in the GitHub repository, you will see the tag in here, because the deployment is automatically, every pull request approved generates a new call to Travis CI. And of course, you have to manually add the tag to the paper you want to tag, basically.
Yeah, maybe this was not super clear. I mean, the idea that how you can add these tags is through a specific attribute you have to put within your BB tags, right, Andrea?
Yeah. There is also in Mendeley, you can simply do this.
Yeah, of course.
You go to the paper and click on tags. And the only convention is that existing tags have to be enclosed in square brackets. So this is a tag, basically.
Yeah.
And in the BibTeX, there is a field of the BibTeX in which you can add tags. So if you check in our GitHub repository, if you open, let's just open a BibTeX.
Yeah. Because I think it's a Mendeley specific, let's say, attribute of the BibTeX.
Open the
convention.
Yeah. So
Mendeley
tags. But also
this
keyword.
is maybe the only thing that's not entirely clear to me, because the way it is right now, like you said, there's an almost exponentially increasing amount of papers, and it's really good to gather all of them. So let's say you start scraping papers with code now, and you're possibly going to add like 200 papers in a bunch. So the more papers you grow, the stronger of a repository of tags you'll need to actually just not get lost in all the noise, right? Otherwise, you'll just have like one tag and you'll have a list of 90 papers and no way to navigate. So it's going to be like the way it looks. We'll have to think about how to not go through it every time manually, because every time manually you'll add a tag, you now have to go back to what's 1,000 papers, 2,000 papers, and start adding them to categorize, which seems quite a burden and quite impossible to do, right?
Yeah, this is indeed an issue, of course. The idea would be that when you see a paper that if you add the paper directly, maybe you already have in mind the main tags. And it's very difficult that in the future, the same paper will have new tags. Because if you know the paper, more or less, you know also the tags. Of course, you can miss some important information. For example, you forget that the paper is about Bayesian methods and you don't add the Bayesian tag. This is a knowledge base, of course, so it is incomplete by definition. Exactly. And of course, every time a new tag is added, and hopefully there will be very few tags added in time, because this corpus of tags should be sufficient for most of the needs. But yeah, each time you add a new tag, you can go backward on all the papers and see if the tag fits each specific paper. This is a cost, but I'm not seeing any easy way to avoid this cost.
I mean, I'm just wondering if it might make sense to, because this is now at a state where it's still, like, let's say, manageable. So I'm just wondering if it makes sense to do some sort of massive brainstorming about tags and like a taxonomy now.
Yeah.
Because I can already see just by looking at them, I would add rehearsal, for example. That's the first thing. And I can come up with like 10 more tags that I would add
For
right
example,
now.
rehearsal is a category in this case. So you can find rehearsal techniques in, they're not, just one moment.
No, rehearsal methods.
Yeah, I can see, but rehearsal, oh, okay, yeah, here they are. Rehearsal methods are a category. So in this case, there is no need to add a tag because you find the rehearsal methods in this category. Of course, yours was just an example. So I agree that we can do a brainstorming of tags, and we can do this also in Slack. Of course, we have the wiki channel, which currently is about pull requests and updates in the code, but we can, I guess, or create a new channel or add in there the tags that we would like to write, or in a GitHub issue we can discuss this matter. And because up to now the number of papers is still manageable, so we could easily add a new tag in this phase.
Yep, that's basically the only suggestion.
Yeah, thank you very much, because these suggestions are very important, because otherwise we will keep everything between a few people, and ideas sooner or later will starve for sure.
Yeah. So one question I have for you, Andrea. So what do you think this process should be done like through crowdsourcing, let's say, from people, or should be automatized? Because I have a lot of ways of automatically getting like the new continual learning papers through different feeding methods, from Google Scholar suggestions to the new, how it is called, Semantic Scholar feeds, that it's very well made. I mean, if you look at their website now, it's super cool and essentially keeps track of everything through our recommendation systems of all. It suggests all the continual learning papers that I like to download and to read. So do you think that the future in this sense is to move from a crowdsourcing, from people project to an automatic, let's say, classification of those papers?
Yeah, my 2 cents here, and these are just my 2 cents, is that I would like the wiki to be a quality product instead of a quantity product. This is just, of course, a sentence without any particular meaning. But what I am trying to say is that if we add more papers and we automatically generate and scrape all the papers that we are able to find, we are becoming something like Scholar or the other tools.
Right.
There are already tools for that. So the main idea behind the wiki is that is maintained by continual learning enthusiasts people. So I would like to see in the wiki contents that someone, mainly the person which added the paper, has really read. So if you read a paper and you are particularly interested in this paper and you go to the wiki and say, oh, there is no such thing in here, well, you can add this paper, and then you already have all the information because you read the paper and you are prepared on that. So in this way, of course, we will miss some paper, but I mean, this is this is something that we have to deal with. And if someone feels that an important paper is missing, there is always the opportunity to put the paper in the wiki. So the automatic scraper is useful for getting new ideas when you're short of ideas. So I don't know if there are any papers I am missing, so I scrape the web and then I select the paper. So this is a much stronger effort, but it produces much more quality in the output, in my view.
I can understand your point. maybe we could also think of like a hybrid uh, approach in which, for example, we have an automatic scraper that create like an issue with a list of possible, let's say, new entry, and then from that point on, a human will continue learning.
Yeah, that could be the human in the loop approach. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but because you're right. I mean, it's much better to have a more quality, maybe more tags, more no, maybe force every paper in the wiki to have notes. You know, this idea that we want to have a small summary of each paper, because in the end, if you have put the paper there, at least you should have read that, or if you're suggesting other people to read it, essentially putting that on the list. So that would be nice.
Yeah, I totally agree with this.
Okay, any other question or suggestion, comment?
Yeah, I just have a small feature request maybe. So I see that on the website, the articles are already sorted by year. So like the
Yes.
more you scroll down, the more the older the paper gets. But I guess because there's so many like 2020 and so on papers, it might make sense to just add like a filter or something where you can just
Yeah.
only see like a specific amount of papers given a year or something. Because oftentimes I face myself with trying to find out for a given method whether there's older papers that exist that have basically already suggested this in some simpler or different manner. And because otherwise we're just creating this bias towards always just citing 2020 and so on, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying right now to filter the text with the year.
With the text it works, but you don't have ranges. That it's something that I guess it's more.
Yeah. Of course, a more specific filter should be. Yeah, it would be a better option. Yeah, because you can add ranges, and here there is also an outlier because this is not 2019, so maybe.
Yeah, right. Because it also, I think it's contained in the abstract something or the.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, I tried. It didn't work out for me. It contained a lot more.
Yeah, but the idea of adding a date filter sounds very, very good. Yeah.
It's I mean,
I
it's
will
easy.
write it down because otherwise.
Yeah, we create an issue or something.
So any other suggestion, comments, or anything related to the wiki?
All right, I think this was a great discussion actually to improve this project. So thank you so much, Andrea, for your time and effort on this. I know that you have been working hard on the project, and I hope all the other people also watching this on YouTube in the next few days will contact you maybe for continue this discussion and improve the wiki in the end. That is something that we all can benefit from. So thank you all for joining, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you on Slack. See you guys.
Everybody.